Hello, my name is Aaron Choa, and I'm a biomedical science major here at UTRGV. This reflection serves as the introduction to my final portfolio for English 1301 with Professor Yemin Sanchez. When this class first began, I honestly felt confident in my writing, maybe a little overconfident. I've always done well on essays in the past, so I figured this course would be another credit I could handle easily. Finish the assignment, get a good grade, and move on. But over the semester, that confidence started to change. I realized that writing in college wasn't just about turning something in. It was about thinking, reflecting, and actually understanding myself through what I wrote. In this reflection, I'll talk about three major assignments that shaped that realization: ARR 1, ARR 5, and my annotated bibliography, and how each one taught me something different about what writing really is. The first assignment, ARR 1, was based on turning to literacy. When I got this one, I wasn't really nervous at all. I thought, I've got this. I know how to summarize, I know how to reflect, I know how to write. So I did what I always do. I read it once, jotted some notes, wrote the paper in one sitting, submitted, press submit. At the time, I thought it was one of my better pieces. I felt sure about my voice and didn't doubt myself. But when I got my feedback and reread the text later, I noticed something. My writing sounded fine on the surface, but I knew deep down I hadn't really connected to the reading. I was explaining ideas, but not really exploring them. I wasn't asking questions like, why does this matter? Or what does this say about me as a learner, as a student? That's when it hit me. I was writing to finish, not writing to understand, not writing to learn. I wasn't wrong to be confident, but I was missing depth. The first ARR became the foundation for realizing how much more writing could do if I actually slowed down and thought through it. By the time I reached ARR 5, things had changed. Classes got harder, labs piled up, midterms were coming up, and time became really tight for me. My early confidence started turning into pressure. This ARR focused on changing your mindset about revision by Lenny Irvin and Poopy First Drafts by Anne Lamott. At first I thought, okay, another reading on writing, how hard could it be? But these readings ended up calling me out in a way. Irvin's idea that revision means re-seeing your work made me realize I'd been treating writing like a one and done process. I wasn't re-seeing anything, I was just clicking submit. And Lamott's honesty about bad first drafts made me reflect on how afraid I was on letting my work be imperfect, letting it be a bad first draft. At that point, life was catching up with me, and I didn't put as much effort into ARR 5 as I wanted. But the funny thing is, that assignment is where I learned the most. Even though I felt burnt out, I started understanding that writing isn't supposed to be comfortable. It's meant to challenge how you think. That realization was humbling. I started seeing revision not as fixing errors, but as growing from them. Just like in science, when a failed experiment teaches you more than a perfect one ever could. The annotated bibliography was the assignment that truly changed the way I approached writing. At first, I looked at it as another complicated research paper with too many rules. 5 sources, MLA formatting, annotations, just looked like busy work and wasn't very appealing. But once I started reading the sources, Irvin, Lamott, Mike Bunn, Gita Dasbender, and turning to literacy, I started to see connections. Mike Bunn's How to Read Like a Writer flipped my perspective completely. He said to pay attention to the choices authors make, not just the words on the page. That line stuck with me. It made me read differently, not just for information, but for strategy, for style. Then Dasbender's critical thinking in college writing reminded me that writing is a conversation, not a performance. She talked about how questioning ideas is part of developing your own thinking. That hit me hard because I realized I've been writing to meet expectations rather than building ideas on my own, rather than going off of my own creativity. By the time I finished the annotated bibliography, I wasn't writing just to get a grade. Honestly, it wasn't even the grade I wanted because I misunderstood the instructions, but I was writing to learn. I started caring about how sources connected, how my ideas evolved, and how writing could help me grow not just as a student, but as a thinker, as a writer. Looking back, ARR 1 was me being confident but surface level. ARR 5 was me learning humility through challenge, and the annotated bibliography was me realizing that what writing really is, which is a process of discovery. At the beginning of the semester, I thought this class would be easy. just another credit. But now I understand that writing is one of the hardest but most rewarding skills I've ever had to practice and probably ever will have to practice. It's not just putting words on a page, it's learning how to think, reflect, and express something meaningful. I also started to see how all of this connects to my future in biomedical science and in the medical field in general. Revision and reflection are a huge part of research and patient care and saving people. Just like writing, science is about trial and error, clarity, and communication. I'm still growing, um, still a struggling undergrad, and there are times I get frustrated and I doubt myself. But now I see that growth takes patience, and that's what this class taught me.